kobold players when they're talking about kobolds. They are the tiniest, most adorable lizard babies. I love these cute little guys. Kobold players playing kobolds. I am 3 foot of condensed bastard. Hello everybody, my name's Matthew Perkins, and today I want to talk about Dungeons and Dragons. That's right, both of them. So this is a series called, and today's topic is kobolds, those beautiful little scaly boys. How many kobolds can defeat a red dragon? Let's take a look at a kobold, because they are pretty much the weakest creature as far as like an actual adversary without just being a giant fly or a boar that you can find in the monster manual, right? They are not particularly formidable little beasties. So here's what they are. They are challenge rating 1/8. That means that if you were doing the challenge rating system, you'd probably want 8 of them to challenge a level 1 party. Kobolds across the board have these 2 special little features on their stat block. Now, one of them is pack tactics. This is good. So imagine if you are a cleric and you are fighting 2 kobolds at once, and they are both within melee range of you. So they're both their figures are touching your figure on the base. That would mean each kobold, because they're kind of helping each other, they're both going to get advantage. And that's really helpful. But here's the other thing. They also, kind of like Drow, like the Dark Elves, they have sunlight sensitivity. This means that if they're out in sunlight, they're going to have disadvantage on attack rolls. Now, the classic wisdom here is, how often are you, out in sunlight? It's called Dungeons and Dragons, not Daylight and Dragons. So that might not come to play very much. So they're very weak. But the books do a lot to describe the way they operate. Okay, so this is Volo's Guide to Monsters, and it expands extensively upon the kobold kind of ecology and their lore. Now, I read through all the entries I could find about kobolds in preparation for this video. I live streamed it on Twitch. So the big thing about kobolds is that they live underground, right? They're underground little boys. They have teamwork. They all sacrifice something for the good of the colony, right? They're a little bit selfless when it comes to that. They're super duper unionized. So I could really see kobolds definitely cooperating with each other to overtake some kind of grand creature like a dragon. Now, here's the other thing though. Up here, the little subhead for kobolds is kobolds are little dragons. They believe that they are descendants from dragons. They're kind of these maroon, crimson-skinned creatures with long dragon-like snouts, and they believe that they have draconic blood, and they are all, no matter, even the toughest kobold is awed in the face of a dragon. So they do cooperate, and they cooperate in combat. Maybe that's kind of exemplified by the pack tactics ability. But they're also trappers. Check this out. Let's find it. Tactics. In the tactics section, it really describes how they are good at like guerrilla combat and using traps. Like they will extinguish light sources to take advantage of their dark vision. They're willing to sacrifice some of their members to lure people into traps. They do hit and run maneuvers, popping in and out of tunnels and caverns and that kind of stuff. They'll use poison. Now, this is my favorite bit about their tactics. Sometimes they might actually throw a clay pot full of poisonous rats or poisonous centipedes directly at their opponent. Imagine getting hit with a pot and being like, you've broken, look, you hit me with clay pots. Is this full of centipedes? I'm actually kind of convincing myself out of the idea of like, would they ever fight a dragon? I don't think they would. I think every kobold will obey any order given by any dragon. That is my impression of their lore, right? Their lore. Just quickly, since we're talking about kobolds, on Patreon right now, we do have a special kind of PDF all about kobolds. Check this out. Hey, I know you. You are a player who likes kobolds, or you're a dungeon master who likes kobolds. Well, have I got news for you? Look at these kobold crafts. You need these in your life. What about the Crikey Cannon? The Crikey Cannon, which launches all those Aussie Ocker animals at the enemies and stings them with their scary stings. Now, this is all available to all my patrons for $5. And not only do you get this for $5, you get the whole lot. You get literally everything I've made over the last 2 years on my Patreon for just $5. So check it out, Kobold Craft right now, options for players and for dungeon masters. In Volo's Guide, it mentions kobold families drawing art on the walls of their sleeping quarters about their history. But what do you think their art looks like? I have a general idea of it looking primitive, but beyond that, I need help. So I don't know exactly what it would look like yet, but I do know what it would be about, the kind of things they would be depicting in their history. In the kobolds' version of a perfect world, the creatures would be left alone to dig their tunnels and raise the next generation of kobolds, all while seeking the magic that will free their imprisoned god, right? So they have a kind of mythology here. Mythology, isn't that interesting? So this fella, okay, I read a lot about this guy. They believe that this creature, this person, the god of kobolds, Kurtlemak, is imprisoned in like a maze below ground somewhere, or maybe in like below ground in another kind of realm. I'm not sure. But he was tricked there, right? So what happened was he serves Tiamat, the evil god of dragons with all the heads. And she has a hoard of treasure because she's a dragon. And of course you do. When you are a dragon, you have treasure. And this gnomish god, his name's like Gal. I call him Gary Glitterboy, but that's not his name. Gal Glittergold. So he snuck in and stole something from Tiamat's hoard, okay? So Kurtlemak, the god of the kobolds, this is lieutenant of Tiamat, was sent to go retrieve it. But then Gary Glitterboy tricked him and collapsed the caverns that he was in, and he got trapped wandering this maze, okay? That's the legend that kobolds believe. But when I read the wiki, now this is wild. The wiki said that. It had that little bit of lore in there that, yeah, they're looking for their god, they want to free him, all this kind of stuff. But it also said that, hey, Kurtlemak died. It says that Kurtlemak is dead. I'm like, is he? I kind of want him to be alive. So what would their art be about? I think they would have that kind of legend depicted. And they would also have kind of hieroglyphics, I think, about like gnomes and how evil they are. I think they would have fairy tales about how villainous gnomes are because they've got pointed teeth. Like, you know how, okay, to us, kobolds look like a monster, right? But to a kobold, I would like to think that a gnome is a monstrous thing. I never trust a gnome. They've got pointed teeth, right? And they've got hairy feet. Ooh, they'll snatch away your children. They'll steal your kobold eggs because kobolds lay eggs. They're painting on their walls, right? That's what the book is saying, apparently. But kobolds are specifically crafters. They are very crafty in the sense that they physically craft things. So in their caverns and their bases and their lairs, they have a chamber and a kiln, which is going to kind of help them do their crafting. Do you know what? Maybe like they actually do have a lot in common with gnomes, because I picture gnomes being tinkers as well. Maybe they're kind of meant to be two opposite sides of the same coin, you know? This is the good version and this is the evil version. But I don't like calling kobolds evil. I think they're cute and beautiful. So I think maybe their art would actually be kind of crafted art. I reckon they would wear it. You know, they're not going to spend time making something that they're going to have to leave behind when they flee. So that's what I'd say. They would have jewelry and medallions and like etchings in their trinkets and stuff that depict their history. That was a good little bit of fun. Now, all these names downstairs, these are my patrons. Thank you so much for the help, patrons. I couldn't do any of this without you. I couldn't afford this mic. I couldn't afford these lights. I couldn't afford that cat. There he is. So if you want to help support the channel, please consider subscribing, becoming a patron, showing it to a mate. And I tell you right now, when this video goes live, I am streaming on Twitch right now. So if you go to twitch.tv /Matthew Perkins DM, come ask me questions. We'll talk about kobolds. I'm probably playing video games. All right, I'll see you next time. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.